What's going on, guys, and welcome back. So today we don't have a deck list, but there is one linked down below for this build. Also, Camilo, he wasn't working out. He wasn't what I wanted. We tested him. I liked him. I just went with a different option. So link to the deck list is down below. But today we're going to do some test games with Pete's Bounce House. After testing this game out, I really think that I might end up playing it. I forget which order we're in here for our opponents. Game 1, we are going first. We have, sorry about the pause bar, I'm going to try to pause as little as possible so it's not in the way. Goat, Benja, we have then the Castle, followed by Tinkerbell, Pete, Goat, and our Mim Elephant. Only keeping the Benja, the Castle, and the Pete. Again, okay, we're getting rid of the Pete too. So we draw into our Smee, Robin Hood, Snake, Fox, and another Pete. So again, with forgetting which order these replays are in, it's hard to say exactly why. I'll tell you here in a second. So what do we see? Okay, verse Popsicles. That's how we did it. Verse Red Blue. Okay. Red Blue, or sorry, Blue Steel. Tinkerbell got inked. So verse Blue Steel, they have one jump ahead sometimes. But other than that, they play mostly items and characters. So Pete's not the best. That's why we wanted to get rid of Pete. We kept Benja for that same reason. Also, if you can put down a castle on 4, it's a pretty good card in the matchup. Otherwise, I just really wanted to get into some 1-drop or 2-drop plays, which we did hit our Robin Hood and our Smee. We draw into a Friends on the other side for turn. Ink, player Smee, go ahead, quest our Robin Hood. Again, there's a decent chance we might get a few turns into this before our opponent even puts a character down. So they come back with double Fortisphere. Benja, unfortunately, not going to do a whole lot. Again, Pete isn't really needed, so we're going to ink him and just start questing. Get up to a quick 4 lore. Take the one on our Smee, coming back with Lawrence. We draw into our Snake then. So we're not sitting in a bad spot, and now there's a couple things. Do you bounce the Smee and remove the damage so you can replay it, or do you bounce the Benja so you can replay and hit another item and try to cut off the draw engine? For this first turn, I think that we hit the Zeus to get rid of the Lawrence. I mean, you could also argue you keep the Zeus to just get rid of the Hiram. And I think both are good plays, but I want to just start questing and get aggressive. We can get 5 more here, so we ink the Snake, and then we play the Zeus, get rid of the Lawrence because his 4 attack when he has no damage is just going to be really strong. We go to a 9 with Castle in hand, and that's the reason I did this. Like, I'm just going full aggro mode at this point. 9 with Castle in hand, threatening 5. So we go to 14, and we can throw a Castle down. We're going to lose the Smee. Unfortunate, but that's okay at the same time. So at this point, we're at 14. I'm like, just in case he has grab your swords or something like a big blow, we throw the Pete down so we can at least get protected. We can go to 18, slap a Castle down, and I mean, Lawrence again is pretty good in that scenario, but what else could they do to really threaten us that much? I'm going to get the draw from the Pete, get the couple cards, and decide what we're going to do. We go to 17. I'm like, well, we're threatening lethal anyway. Let's go ahead and throw the Castle down, and we can even move a character to the Castle just in case, or to try to get them to go after it. So I do pretend like they get rid of the Pete here, because realistically, had he sang, he wouldn't have got the draw 2 or the 1 lore, but had he sang with the Hiram, we would have lost that anyway. So I just wanted to try to play it out as if it were proper. We still probably win the game. Going to 19 with Castle on board, we get to throw characters down. Our opponent has to answer right away, and they have to answer every single card. And being at 1 lore, that's probably not going to happen. But in some of these replays, I will do this where I play around characters I have on the board, because I just think the AI played very poorly, and I shouldn't have the board state that I do. So I don't want to just get like the free card there and the free benefit from it. So this time we are going second, and we have Robin Hood, Big Robin Hood, Rabbit, Smee, Benja, Tinkerbell, and the Storm Rage on. Getting rid of the Uninkables in hand, but we got a strong 1, 2, 3 with Robin Hood, Smee, Benja, or Robin Hood, Smee, Shift Robin Hood, play Smee then the following turn. We hit a couple more Robin Hoods, big and little. We hit Maleficent, so I'm like, okay, we're going to go Maleficent row. Let's go aggro. I can come back with the Robin Hood later. Chicha comes down, which is a body on board. It's, you know, it's actually pretty good for him. Now, I quest with the Maleficent here because it puts them in a scenario where they have to choose. Do they get rid of the Maleficent or do they get rid of their potential draw engine? And that's just kind of the idea behind that is if I lose the Maleficent, I'm okay with it because it turns off one of their draw engines. Not sure that Chicha's going to make her way into a lot of these blue steel lists as time goes on. I think that this version I'm playing against right now isn't as good against aggro, and I've talked in the video, in the comments, and also on Facebook repeatedly, where if you're expecting a lot of aggro, what card to cut, which cards to add in, things like that. But again, I'm not convinced that aggro is just going to be this overwhelmingly dominant threat that we need to worry about. So now turn 3, we're going to come back with Robin Hood, quest, go up to 6 with threatening a big Robin Hood shift. I'm feeling pretty good. We're not falling behind on ramp. 2 Lawrences does hurt. However, that happening is actually really good for us because we could say shift Robin Hood, take no damage, or Maleficent technically could have even taken it out. But then if Robin Hood took out Chicha, the Lawrence would be able to trade and take out my Robin Hood, and I just wasn't ready for that trade-off yet. Having double Goat Benja in hand is really strong. I did overlook the support on Chicha though for a second there. I'm like, oh shoot, quest, give 2 to Lawrence, then all of a sudden I just lose my Robin Hood, that is. So I should have taken out the Chicha, used the Maleficent to take out the other Lawrence, played it that way, but we're able to get a Robin Hood down, so we still have Benja, Goat in hand. Questing there, get hit by Grab Your Swords. Our opponent being able to go up to 6 and 7. We don't have those actions, so Pete didn't really do anything to us. We hit another Benja, so that's actually really strong. We're going to get rid of the item, and I'm like, you know what, let's just go double Benja because we can go ahead, challenge that, get rid of it, and now we're threatening lethal on our turn. The Zeus does come down, gets rid of the Robin Hood. You don't get the draw because of it. Tipo comes down, which all but assures that we're going to win the game. So it's 9 to 14. We're going to go to 18. Let's throw the Goat down. That's 19. And then you're at 19 with Goat on board. You're probably going to win that game. So Tipo comes down. We win the game. Quest, GG's. And on to the next one. So we're going second. And again, Camilo, he isn't good in here because it's kind of like a lucky dime plus a mim effect where you get the lore equal to like your Pete or to your Rabbit or your Goat, and like it's cheeky play where Goat quest, Camilo targets Goat, bounces the Goat, you get the lore for Goat, and Goat triggers, so you get a bunch of lore that way. Being 6 cost, I felt like there was better cards to play, so he was a 2 of, and I do like him. I just didn't want him in my final list. We do have Rabbit, Elephant, Fox, Pete, Camilo, Let the Storm Rage on, and a Snake in hand. So I'm trying to think. I think we're against Steel Song for this replay, I want to say. So that's why we keep the Pete. Yep, against Steel Song. So I keep the Pete and just dump my hand otherwise. And I'm like, it's not the greatest, but we're going to go ahead and use it anyway. And then they come back with the Smee. So it's actually going okay so far. We can boom get rid of that just to clear out the Robin Hood shift, because Robin shift can hurt a lot, and if Smee's going to attack into Maleficent, well, that's okay because he's going to take the damage in the end step as well. Instead, the Storm does come down, so our opponent nets a card and we still lose our Maleficent, which is unfortunate. The damage on Smee means that our Storm can clean take it out. We're in just kind of a weird slow state right now, which I'm actually okay with, because once you get Pete bouncing against Steel Song, you're actually in a pretty good spot. So I'm not too worried as of right now with where we're at. Now we're going to go ahead and play Pete there, which just shuts down any song that Gazelle might sing. Gazelle being a 5-singer, I actually really like in the deck personally. It creates some awkward interaction where if you hit Gazelle or Ariel on 3, you come back with Naveen on 4, and Naveen just becomes so strong because now you still have a Singer 5 on board and also questing for 2. So the whole new world does come down, and we get actually a decent hand in return. Our opponent can only come back with Cinderella, but we got Pete, we got Robin Hood, and we got Snake, so we can bounce Pete back to our hand, replay the Pete, again shutting down our opponent's ability to play songs. Now at this point too, we could say Sing Friends with Pete, try to hit into another bouncer. And if we hit a bouncer, then we're sitting good because obviously, you know, you can bounce Pete, play Pete. We are going to go instead, though, with Storm Rages on, and we're going to try and clear out a lot of his board, and we're still going to draw some cards in the process. So we used up our ink, so we're not going to be able to replay the Pete anyway. And I'm like, well, how else do we want to do this? We're going to challenge there just to get the damage not on Robin Hood. Could have challenged with Robin Hood and then got the 2 lore. I just didn't want that 1 damage on it. And then we sing again. Just because I'm like thinking through. I'm like, you know what? Let's just put some damage on the aerial. Probably on push. You know, there's really no reason to, I guess, with multiple characters that have enough strength to take it out. But a Grab Your Swords does come down, takes out Pete and Maleficent. Again, though, we're sitting all right because, 1, we have more cards in hand. We're at that 7-8 ink mark already. We have Goat in hand with multiple bouncers. We have the best card on the board currently with the Robin Hood, so we can start doing Goat, Bounce, Goat shenanigans. Zeus taking out Smee, I think, is incorrect. However, they do come back with the Robin Hood shift. Because of that, I'm like, well, if they would have took out the Robin Hood, I would have quested with Smee, got the 2. So that's why I didn't challenge with the Robin Hood, because I wanted to pretend like he was Smee, knowing full well that that Robin Hood is going to take him out anyway. We go to 9, slap down the Goat, slap down the Rabbit, get the draw. Get hit with the Whole New World anyway, which to me is fine. And we hit double castle. Again, not drawing there because it should have been Smee on board, not Robin Hood. So I just wanted to, again, play it out more properly. If these types of videos are too fast, let me know. I can slow it down a little bit. I just, with replay videos, as long as I can talk that quick and try to explain things through, again, I'll slow down a bit if I need to. I don't like when they drag on for like an hour, although I think we have 8 games, so, you know, you're looking at like 35 minutes or so for 8 games. Maybe we speed it up. Maybe we do less games too. So maybe we just do less games. Rapunzel does come down. So now Rapunzel Robin Hood's actually a good board state. But we get to go to 16, slapped on double castle. We got Goat. We got Rabbit. We're sitting really, really strong. Our opponent essentially cannot do anything. He's not going to be able to clear out everything that we have. Gets rid of a snake. Gets rid of the rabbit. We draw our card. Simba comes down, clears out 1 castle. But still, castle plus Maleficent is enough to get the win. And now we're into where you get to go first this time. And it should be against Steel Song, I believe. Let's see. We throw our Maleficent down, and they ink Simba. And okay, no, Hyper Aggro. We're against the Hyper Aggro now. So Amber, Amethyst, Hyper Aggro. I'm just going to try to out aggro him, essentially, at this point. We trade really well. We have the Steel Songs. You have Baboom. You have Tinkerbell. But you also have things like Robin Hood that can challenge and take out their characters really well. Mim Fox with Rush. You have a lot of tools that can help you in that early game. Smee not only can quest for a bunch. Oh no, it is Steel Song. Okay. Oh, I saw Ink Simba over here, but it was the 6-cost Simba. I'm like, I thought we only played against one Steel Song. Hint, hint. I'm pretty sure I play against Amber Amethyst as another one of the decks to go over, because I do think you need to be ready for the Amber or the aggro matchups. We lose our castle to the Bare Necessities. That kind of hurts. We can go ahead here, Baboom, take that out, and then ink the Robin Hood, and now we essentially have a bunch of Mims in our hand. I am going to snake it, though, just because Fox having Rush and being back in my hand is a lot safer. Naveen comes down, plays the Zeus, which really good thing for me there. We're going to ink, because now it's like, ooh, we only got the 4. Like, which one do I want to ink? I'm like, I actually inked the Fox, and I kind of regret it. But at the same time, the big body of the elephant could potentially come back. But then we hit Goat, so it doesn't matter. We're going to play the Tinkerbell. He gets 3 damage because of the song. Our opponent goes to 8. Quest. We hit a snake, so that's actually kind of cool. We can Goat, snake, bounce, Goat, which is really strong. We can take out Cinderella here and then splash the damage over to Naveen, leave him with just the Daisy. And then at that point, I'm like, you know what? Now I'm going to snake, bounce Tinkerbell, because Tinkerbell can come back and do some damage. Our opponent has 4 ink. I'm up to 7. We're both pretty much top decking. So I like a lot where we're at, despite being down 13-5, because we have so much good removal and tools that I think I'm sitting in a pretty good spot. So Snake take out the Daisy, which thankfully Daisy got us a couple extra cards in our hand. Never going to complain about that. We played Pete, so Naveen's not allowed to play a song. We do hit a song here now. So I'm like, okay, we can sing the Storm on the Naveen, draw our card, play the Tinkerbell, put 1 and 1, and then we can just challenge and take out that aerial. And now we're overwhelmingly, just like that, we're in control. We're up to 9, and we're threatening 7 more. Grab Your Sword's probably the best card he could have had at that point. Clears most of our board. We go to 10 because Goat gets the lore. Again, playing Camilo here, but we don't actually end up keeping it in the list. Quest, go to 13. Next turn, we're going to go to 15, right? No, not 15. I can't count. 17. And then Camilo's effect will put us to 18, possibly 19, unless if we bounce the Tinkerbell. I'm like, if we bounce the Pete, play the Pete, our opponent can't play any of their songs, and we essentially win the game here. Probably winning either way, but it was just like a fail-safe. Play Pete, throw it on the castle, move to the castle, and win the game. So player 2 is starting, throwing those all back. Sorry, missed what that was. Come on. Definitely sped that up maybe a little too much. So we have Smee, Rabbit, Robin Hood, Castle, Friends, Rabbit, Friends. Choosing to get rid of everything except for the Smee and the Robin Hood. We do hit Little Robin Hood, which in the Hyper Aggro, like I said, that replay was coming up. We hit the Robin Hood, and I needed to get to some of my songs that do damage, especially if they come out with like Daisy Duck and then Bodyguards. You really need to hit your 1-drop. You need to hit your removal cards. We happen to have Baboom, which is just incredible. So now we already stabilized the board state. The Donald Duck coming back. I mean, shouldn't have played it this way, which, I mean, we would just shift and then quest. So not taking out the Donald, because again, he shouldn't have done it that way. They should have played it, regular, because why play a Bodyguard Exerted if you have nothing to protect against? Double Tinkerbell is really strong here. Mim Fox is going to be really good here. We can take out the Donald, get a couple lore, play our Snake, bounce that, play Little Robin Hood, so now we can come back with Shift Robin Hood once again. Unfortunately, Kita comes down. Kita's pretty strong. Who would have thought? Kita is pretty strong. Daisy does hit us another Mim, so having double Fox is really strong. However, I don't think we need it. Our opponent has 1 card. They're not that far ahead on lore. We're going to take a turn off here questing, because, like, what else are you going to do? Playing the Fox, though, because we can go ahead and take out the Piglet, because Fox was not on the field when the Mim was played, or when the Kita was played, so it is unaffected by the -3. Thank you, Daisy. We hit a Pete. Unfortunately, they're not playing many actions anyway. So Simba, Wendy come down. Simba's going to be not really problematic because we have Shift Robin Hood anyway. Then we can go ahead, challenge, take out the Simba. We choose to take it out with our Smee. And then we can go ahead, take out the Kita with the Robin Hood, bounce Robin Hood, play Little Robin Hood to protect it from any of the damage. Either way, we were going to lose our Smee regardless, whether it's on attack of Kita or in the end phase. So 13-8, but our opponent has no hand, so we just really need to keep up the pressure now. We get the shift here, take out the Wendy, leaving our opponent just on Daisy. 13-10. I'm actually feeling pretty good. We put down a Smee, and we ink our Pete, because again, Pete's not going to matter. Doris does get him a card. Sorry, not Doris. Dolores. But now, too, we can go ahead, put 3 damage on Daisy, and then we can take Daisy out, get 2 more lore, 15-12. Quest with the Smee, 15-14. We have Goat in hand, so we're essentially 1 turn away from winning. No, I can't count, and we inked the Goat anyway. But, okay, that works out. I apologize for that. Did these replays the other night, and now we're recording them all. So, with the board state there, why would we, I guess, ink the Goat? You're at 14. Robin Hood and Smee both get you to 18. Play Goat would be the 19. No matter what, we're going into a lethal point on next turn. So our opponent has to be able to take out our characters. They could take out just the Smee, which means they're losing their characters and not getting the lore to threaten lethal on their own. So it really was a scenario that didn't matter. You were going to be able to win regardless. And we draw into Maleficent. We have the Tinkerbell. We can just quest with the rabbit. And then we're going to go ahead, because our opponent couldn't win anyway. But I guess if they top decked a goat, they would be able to win. So playing the Tinkerbell just to take out the threat of the Maleficent just in case. It was close. Hyper aggro, when they go first, it's really tough. Like, you need to hit what you need to hit. Again, keeping Smee and Fox, because I think they're both really good into the hyper aggro matchup. But we do hit a 1-drop. So getting a 1-drop down is actually really strong. Especially because this is not hyper aggro. This is Ruby Amethyst. So now we're against Ruby Amethyst. I think Rafiki is incredible this format in Ruby Amethyst. I think it's really strong. It's really good. It helps at least till the format develops. I think the format's going to change and Rafiki will come back out of Ruby Amethyst. But to start the format, I think Rafiki is actually pretty strong in the deck, having the Challenger +3 status, especially into like Daisy Duck and aggro matchups, where I know I'm contradicting myself now. I said I don't think it's that predominant. I don't think it's that strong. But at the same time, I think Rafiki does well enough into like Steel Song too, because it can one-shot your opponent's aerial, or even taking out a Cinderella early. Like, I think it can do a lot, and it forces some interaction on your opponent's end. So we ink a Benja, we quest, and then we can go ahead and play our Smee, waiting to see what our opponent comes back with. Another Rafiki. So we lose our Maleficent, which was expected, but during my turn, they have 0 attack. So we're going to go ahead, play the Smee, bounce the Smee, play the Fox. Now we have Smee. I'm trying to say like Smee and Fox together. We have Smee, Fox, Maleficent, and the Storm. So we can just sing Storm, get rid of the Rafiki, draw a card, which happens to be Goat. Like, well, let's ink the Smee at this point, play the Goat. We got the bigger bodies on board. We have another bouncer. Our opponent comes back with a Goat. We hit a Benja, which he's a multi-quester, and that's about all he's going to be useful for here. We play Goat, we play Fox, bounce Goat, ink the Benja, play the Maleficent, because they don't really play items, so I'm not too worried about that. Once again, we see Rafiki come down with the rabbit for the draw. I'm like, okay, let's go ahead, ink that. We got double Goat in hand, so we're up to 9. I'm like, I like where we're at. I didn't want to quest the Fox because then Rafiki just trades with the Fox even, and that doesn't feel like a good trade-off. Losing the Maleficent obviously hurts too, but losing the Fox in that trade I feel like is just worse, because now we're at a spot where Fox takes out Rafiki and something else, and then we can come back, throw down the Goat plus the Smee. They ink. They don't have the Be Prepared, which is the only way we like hard get punished here. We'd still go to 13, but 13 top decking is not something you want to do. We can quest to 15. Goat's going to guarantee us 16, and then we pass because now I'm thinking about Be Prepared. I'm thinking about removal. I'm thinking about how can I keep playing afterwards. Elsa comes down. That actually hurts. You could have took out the Goat with the snake. Probably would have been the smarter option. But anyway, they did not. We play the Goat. We bounce the Goat. We get the lore. We play the Robin Hood. And now we're threatening 2 with Goat in hand. And we're at 17. So again, we're threatening lethal. And the thing with the AI, though, is in a scenario like this, the AI just assumes you can't win. And they don't play, because you'll see here, I'm pretty sure they have a Be Prepared in the hand. And they just don't play it. However, if I go to 18 with Goat on board, I feel like I'm sitting in a pretty strong spot. This time, the Ruby Amethyst is going to go first. We have Friends, Tinkerbell, Maleficent, Benja, Tinkerbell, Robin Hood, and Camilo. So again, where this deck can go aggro pretty good, and I like that approach on the play versus this matchup. However, when you're on the draw, you can't always just necessarily go for it like aggro. We have a lot of high cost cards here, so let's get rid of those 6s. I don't need the Benja, and I'm like, I don't want to go aggro on the draw. On the play, sure. On the draw, not so much. They come back with Chernabog, and we do get the draw into the Robin Hood, which is going to be really strong. So we play our Robin Hood. We got Smee, we got Shift Robin Hood. There's a Baboom there, so now we can even go. We got Double Pete. I'm like, we're going to ink the Smee, Baboom the Chernabog, just so they don't get that extra draw in a second. And then we take out, or quest with the Robin Hood. I'm like, well, we can shift Robin Hood now and start putting damage on the library, because library is really good. It's sneaky strong, especially if you have characters and you know you're going to challenge. You just slap it down, move them there like in the mid-late game, and then start crashing your characters and drawing cards and replacing your characters. Library is very good. Rabbit comes down, draws him a card, and we hit Along Came Zeus. That's actually pretty good. I'm like, okay, how do we want to do this? We're going to play that. Then we can ink a Pete. We don't need 3 Petes. Sing the Zeus, get rid of that. Maui comes down, which is interesting that he did it that way. Interesting to say the least. Like, the AI just prioritizes that draw, which they shouldn't. They should have Rabbit on board right now. So, gosh, it's hard to even, like, this is a problem with Ink Table. The AI sometimes can play actually pretty decent, and then sometimes it does that. Like, I don't think it needed the draw that bad. It'd have 3 cards in hand right now, but it'd have Rabbit on board. Maui would have been enough to take out the Robin Hood anyway. So take all this with a grain of salt. If you use Ink Table, great. It helps you with your hands. It helps you see your deck's consistency. It helps see certain interactions. However, don't live and die by it and go like, oh, this deck's insane. This deck's unbeatable. Well, where'd you play? Ink Table. There's a little asterisk there. It's a great tool. Fantastic. We don't have Pixelborn. Clearly, I use it. Tabletop Simulator you can also play on. Just haven't really gotten into that at all. I just had some requests to do actual gameplay footage, not necessarily just the, hey, I'm gonna throw these cards down and just show you what cards I'm playing. So now our opponent has the 1 card in hand. They get their draw for turn. We have double Pete. If we can start to hit our bouncers, we're sitting really good because we are in Be Prepared range. I'm like, okay, how can we do this? I want to, like, if I take out the Medusa, I get the free draw, and we hit a Pete. I'm like, okay, that's actually kind of broken. Now we can sing the friends because I wanted a bouncer, but we hit a Pete, and then we draw into a bouncer. So, like, if we can just start bouncing Pete at this point, I think we're going to win. Because Rafiki will trade even with a Pete, which is fine. We play the castle. We're going to go ahead and ink Benja, move Pete to the castle, move Pete to the castle. Here, if we got hit by a Be Prepared there, it wouldn't be that bad because we still have Pete, bounce Pete, and we'd still have castle on board. Instead, we do get the extra draws, and now we have Pete in motion. So we got a couple Petes, we got damage here, we get rid of the Sisu quick and easy. Challenge, get rid of the Rafiki while it's got 0 attack. And I'm like, well, now we can go ahead and play Pete, right? Like, there's no reason not to. You play Pete, now we're protected. They have 1 card in hand, Sisu on board, and we're just completely overwhelming them. Moving the 3rd Pete to the castle, so we're going to get 4 cards to draw for turn. 7 pass, to me that means there's probably a Be Prepared in his hand, or just, Be King Undisputed, or what other ones would there be? Brawl. But anyway, Brawl would be dead in this scenario regardless. But Snake, bounce Pete, play Pete. At this point, we got 2 foxes and elephant too, so our opponent's not going to be able to play. They're not going to be, like, we can Pete for the next, 4 turns. We hit Camilo. We can Pete for the next 5 turns. We're drawing so much off castle. The game is already over. What better way to end the video than on Pete, bounce house, replay, where we're Pete, bounce Pete, bounce Pete, bounce Pete. You get the point though. Play fox, bounce Pete, play Pete. Again, opponent can't do anything. And then just go ahead and play the elephant for fun to get Pete back to our hand, knowing we have game on our next turn. So our opponent plays a goat, goes to 8. We're going to quest, and that will be enough for the game. Again, well, I'm recording a few of these, so they're going to be roughly this speed, but that's essentially how the deck can work, with kind of talking through some play lines. Like I said, at least for the mulliganing part, I'm going to slow it down in the future so I can just kind of explain that a little bit better and write down exactly what decks I'm playing against, just so I can kind of give a better mulligan experience for you guys. And yeah, but anyway, I really appreciate the support. You guys are making this channel do so many great things. It's incredible. This community is amazing. I can't say that enough. I can't say enough about you guys. Thank you so much. Like, share, subscribe, comment down below. Until next time, take care. Take care.